What's going on, guys? Dr. Andrew Wildeman here. We're going to go over some different career paths in dentistry. So if you're here, you're probably a new dentist or a dental student trying to figure out how to navigate the different career paths, how much money you can make, what mistakes to avoid, what's out here. So we're going to get straight into it. I'm not going to waste any of your guys' time. Okay, so first of all, dental school doesn't teach us a lot of things. It really is not teaching us how to navigate job offers and contracts, understanding compensation, production versus collection, how to lead the team as a new doc, the psychology around treatment acceptance and avoiding burnout. Okay, so these are all things that I'm here to teach you guys on this channel. Let's get into the first component of this, which is understanding the contracts. What they don't tell you, which is absolutely insane, is that we basically get paid on commission. This is something I didn't even really understand when I was applying to dental school, or when I first had the thought of becoming a dentist. I thought it was just all salary. You're getting this big salary, just money's just raining. You're seeing patients, helping people. You are getting a percentage of what you produce. So essentially, however much treatment you'll be able to do is going to be how much money you make. And there's two ways you can get paid: off of production, which is the straight up dollar amount that you make that's on the schedule. So let's say you do 5 crowns, it costs $1,000 a crown, that's $5,000. You will get a percentage of that 5,000. The other way is off collections. Collections is when there's $5,000 on the schedule, but the money doesn't come in the same day. That's not how it works in dentistry. All right. So you basically have the insurance may pay a month or two later and the patient pays out of pocket. So that $5,000 that was on the schedule could be $2,000, and then the other 3 will be collected later on. So you're getting a percentage of only the 2,000%. Here's an actual screenshot of my production versus collections in the year 2024, which is last year. I net produced 1.2 million. I would say about 50,000 is missing off this because this was like taken at the end of the year. I spent about 4 months where I was only working 4 days a week. Really good year. And the office collected 1.1 million. All right. So that's a difference of 92,000. I was getting 33% of production. I made 30,000 more having my contract based on this number versus this number. Understand how crazy that is, right? The same patients, the same treatment, I was able to make $30,000 more because I was able to leverage and negotiate my contract later on from being highly productive. Okay, so let's talk about the different business models and where something like this is possible versus not possible. Okay, so first let's start off with the DSO, which is a dental service organization. This is where you're going to have large corporations, mid-sized corporations, and small. Okay, so you're going to basically just hear these people talk about horror stories. And most of them have only worked at the large ones, like Aspen Dental, Heartland, where there's 1,000 offices. You're just a number. You're being pushed month after month. You get burnt out. And I can tell you this because I worked there. My first job was Aspen. I'm not here to talk down on any of these business models. I'm here to help you navigate to see which one is best for you. I personally think that these really, really busy ones are great when you're just getting out. You're getting a lot of experience. Okay, you're going to get a high patient and steady flow. You're not going to get that in smaller offices. They spent so much money on marketing. They have so much capital. You're going to be secure in your job once you have it. They're able to weather the storms of economic stuff, crazy things like a pandemic. So your salary will be able to be solid. So I'd say coming right out of dental school, you can expect to make, 140. On the higher end, those that have a couple years experience, you can make 280 plus, right? And if you really go at it, and follow the systems they have, you can even make more. I know some people making more than that their first year at one of the busier offices within that corporate organization. There's no financial risk. Work-life balance is good. You don't have administrative duties like a practice owner. So basically you work and you leave. However, at these larger offices, you're getting worked a lot. So you're going to get burnt out. I would say the work-life balance in those situations isn't ideal. But in smaller DSOs, like the one I work at, okay, so spoiler alert, I do work at a DSO, but I work at a smaller DSO in the Northeast that only has 100 offices and has a really high patient satisfaction score. It's not a franchise model like Aspen Dental. Private equity came in and they manage already existing dental offices, and they don't change even the structure or compensation. The next one is private practice. Okay, so private practice, strong job security, but patient turnover risk. Okay, so a lot of the patients in these smaller mom and pop practices, they're just coming for their recalls. They don't want to spend money. The doctor doesn't have capital to spend on marketing, and they're really unable to compete with these DSOs, right? So what ends up happening now is these DSOs are starting to buy up a lot of these private practices. Now you're going to make less, just coming out. And I'm talking about the average practice. Yes, there are extreme scenarios where there's a crazy cosmetic dentist who you can come in and you can make 500,000, 600, 700,000, right? But these are so few and far. I'm here to look after you guys who didn't really have the guidance and were in my shoes. I didn't know what the hell to expect. I have to figure it out on my own. The mom and pop practice, they're going to be struggling, right? Most of them, they're looking out for themselves. They're going to keep all the good cases. They want you to do all the composites, and sometimes you're even doing hygiene. This is a great situation when you basically have someone personally and trust, and you love how they practice, you love their business, they're really getting after it. So that's something where it makes sense. The last is practice ownership. Your percentage of collections is going to be anywhere from 40 to 60%. There's no such thing as getting paid off production because you're the business owner. So you're only making money on what you're able to collect. So the idea here is to get equity and build long-term, asset here that's pumping money that you could eventually sell and exit for at a 7-figure valuation. But you're going to have a high financial risk. So you're not going to be getting your 401k paid. You're going to be paying your own student loans. You're not getting signing bonuses, right? This is all you. And, it makes sense in certain markets. Some markets, it doesn't make sense. So I'll show you my situation and why I haven't really kind of went to practice ownership yet. Okay. So work-life balance, lastly, is going to be super terrible. You're going to be stressed out all the time. But the goal is to build something for the long term. So here are my earnings, right? So here's 2024. In the small DSO setting I mentioned, I was able to make $420,000. Now Q1 of this year, so far I've done 155,000. I'm showing you guys how much taxes here, so that's something you guys got to get used to. You're going to be paying a shit ton of taxes. Currently I'm exploring options to kind of negate these as much as possible. But you can see here my base pay off my percentage of production is 129. I had $2,000 admin pay, $2,000 non-discretion. Now, some of you are dental students, so I kind of want to include you guys. You're going to be asking yourself, should you do a GPR or go straight into practice? If you went to a dental school where you got good experience, you had a lot of requirements, by all means, and you want to be general dentist, go into practice. Like, don't waste your time. You're never going to feel ready. Just jump into it, start earning, start learning. GPR makes sense if you had zero clinical requirements. You don't know how to do a crown. You barely did root canals. Go to GPR with the mindset that you're there to learn everything. You want to be the busiest resident. Lastly, it makes sense if you are trying to specialize in things of that nature. So mentorship, flexibility, speed of growth. You're going to be able to get this in private practice-ship, probably more mentorship, but speed of growth, flexibility, and clinical autonomy, definitely the DSO model, especially the smaller DSOs. You're going to be able to crush it and have no one under the thumb of anyone. It's going to be up to you. Red flags. Now, when you go out looking for these jobs, don't go anywhere that's saying working interview. Careful of these private practice mom and pop guys who promise you the world. They're not really giving you transparency on the contracts. They're not showing you what the office is currently producing or projecting. You go there and it doesn't feel right. It doesn't look busy. Go look at their Google reviews. That's something that's super important. If they have less than like 100 reviews, that means they're not busy. Also, you don't want the reviews to be kind of under like 4.6, 4.7 out of 5 stars. And by all means, definitely go look at them and see the newest reviews. When you go to sign a contract, make sure you're trying to negotiate closer to 35% of production or collections. You're not going to be able to get production right away. I talked to my students in my private community on how I was able to do that. You want to negotiate as much as possible and try to get closer to 35%. Negotiate a high daily rate, which they usually give you for the first 6 months while you're building up your schedule. I'd say 700 to 800 is fair if you're able to interview well. These are questions you want to ask. So It's not just about being a dentist, guys. It's about becoming a leader, communicating, not just treating teeth here, you're treating people. And the ones that succeed are going to be the people that really understand this, that can communicate, that can lead, that invest in the soft skills, that have the emotional intelligence. And I've invested over $20,000 in coaching, from neuro-linguistic coach to getting executive coaching from Titan in the DSO space, and someone who is also a private practice owner and coaches multiple students across the nation. So I've bent the time, right? So that's why my earnings this year, I'll probably do over $500,000. That's because I've invested into the things that actually matter, right? Most people are investing in CE courses before they even get these things under control, the soft skills, because no matter how much skills you have, how many implants you know how to place, you're only as good as your ability to communicate, get patients to trust you, like you, and get them to want to come into the office. So that's what matters. Thank you. If you guys liked any of this, go to the link in my bio. I have a private school community there. You can join, ask me any questions, any confusions. I'm there. It's completely free. I'm not here to sell you anything. I do offer one-on-one coaching, but you have to submit an application and reach out to me. I'm only coaching people who are really serious and already have done a lot of the work. That's why I'm making these videos, so I don't have to work with a bunch of you one-on-one. You guys can take this device, get up and running, and then when you want to go to $500,000, you can get with me. Thank you guys so much. I hope you like this style. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.